Egypt's National Alliance sends 11th relief convoy to Gaza with 200 trucks carrying 400 tons of aid. Israeli police arrest 3 Al-Aqsa guards after Ben Gvir leads mass settler incursion. And Gaza's death toll reaches 60,839 as 119 more bodies arrive, 65 killed seeking aid.
والله العظيم ولا حبة رز، والله العظيم ولا حبة عدس. ما فيش أكل، ما فيش شرب، عندي بنت 2.5 صارت تشرب.
Now, following President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's directives, Egypt has continued airdropping humanitarian aid over Gaza, aiming to support Palestinians amid dire conditions. Egyptian military spokesman stated that over the past 3 days, 9 Egyptian military aircraft delivered dozens of tons of food supplies to areas inaccessible by land. These airdrops coincide with Egypt's ongoing efforts to send aid trucks by road, reinforcing its commitment to providing comprehensive support to Gaza's residents. Aid trucks have departed from Egypt towards Gaza, including 2 fuel trucks carrying 107 tons of diesel. This move resumes fuel delivery, essential for powering critical facilities in the Gaza Strip. The fuel trucks will help restart hospitals and bakeries, supporting the restoration of vital services in the region. The third group of Egypt's 6th Red Crescent aid convoy has departed for Gaza, marking the largest number of trucks sent since aid deliveries began. This significant convoy carries a wide range of humanitarian supplies, including several tons of essential goods, to support those in need in the Gaza Strip. The Egyptian National Alliance has launched its 11th humanitarian convoy to support Gaza, consisting of 200 relief trucks. The convoy, organized in coordination with 13 institutions from the National Alliance, carries 400 tons of essential food supplies tailored to the urgent needs on the ground in Gaza. Driven by unwavering solidarity, Egypt's National Coalition has launched its 11th convoy, over 200 trucks carrying 4,000 tons of vital food aid to support Gaza's urgent humanitarian needs.
As part of the ongoing grassroots and national efforts to support our sisters and brothers in the Gaza Strip, the National Coalition for Developmental Civil Work has launched its 11th convoy, comprising more than 200 trucks loaded with food supplies.
التحالف الوطني بيشتغل بمسؤولية وطنية تجاه الأشقاء في غزة، بيترجم أيضا كل توجيهات القيادة السياسية.
رسالة حضارية، رسالة إنسانية، رسالة مسؤولة عن الإحساس وعن اليقين اللي في قلوبنا جميعا أمام القضية الفلسطينية وأمام أصدقائنا وأحبائنا وأهلنا في غزة.
الشعب المصري كله مصطف خلف سيادة الرئيس، كله داعم لقراراته، كله شايف إن سيادة الرئيس كان موقفه واضح وثابت.
The convoy carries a total of approximately 4,000 tons of essential foodstuffs. It was prepared according to the actual needs on the ground and in full coordination with the relevant Egyptian authorities and national civil organizations responsible for coordinating Egyptian aid, ensuring swift and safe delivery of assistance.
العالم كله أشاد بدور مصر الإيجابي في إدخال المساعدات وفي منع التهجير القسري وإقامة دولة فلسطين ووصول المساعدات بشكل آمن لإخواتنا في غزة.
طلعنا لحد دلوقتي في صناعة الحقيقة 270 شاحنة من أول ما بدأت الأزمة، من ضمن 63,000 طن طلعهم التحالف الوطني للعمل الأهلي التنموي لإغاثة أهلنا في غزة.
النهارده احنا مشاركين ب 200 طن من المواد الغذائية والدقيق اللي هو الطحين، وكل ما يلزم أهالينا في غزة لاستكمال الحياة بأي شكل ممكن يعني.
13 national coalition and institutions have participated in this convoy, having worked over recent weeks to procure and pack the supplies through the dedicated efforts of volunteers across various Egyptian governorates.
احنا الحمد لله مؤسسة مصر الخير عضو التحالف الوطني عندنا مشاركة بعدد 30 شاحنة محملة بالأغذية والسلال والمواد الغذائية.
بنك الطعام المصري بيشارك ب 25 تريلا محملين كلهم دقيق وكراتين مواد غذائية.
This convoy represents a new milestone in the urgent humanitarian support campaign for Gazans and reaffirms Egyptian civil society's commitment to its humanitarian and solidarity responsibilities.
Now, Egypt's Foreign Minister Bulletin Abdel-Ati has affirmed that Egypt remains the steadfast supporter of the Palestinians and will persist in backing the Palestinian cause until an independent state is established. Speaking at the 6th edition of the Egyptians Abroad Conference, Abdel-Ati condemned attempts to malign Egypt's supportive role, stating that Israel exploits these baseless campaigns to mask its own crimes. Egypt's foreign minister emphasized that the hostile acts against Egypt aim to divert attention from Israel's sole responsibility for the Gaza tragedy. Now, for more on this, we cross over to our newsroom where Hella is there for us. Hella.
Thank you so much, Mark. And from Cairo, we're joined by Dr. Osama Said, Editor-in-Chief of Al Akhbar newspaper. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Qnews. Now, in what ways does Cairo's consistent coordination with international and regional partners reflect a broader strategy to lead multilateral humanitarian efforts in Gaza?
Good evening to you and to your audience. Certainly, Egypt's role is very significant. Egypt is exerting all the efforts in relief in the Gaza Strip that faces an unprecedented humanitarian crisis as a result of the Israeli aggression and the genocide launched by the Israeli occupation forces. Egyptian coordinations comes with all the relevant parties, either domestically, to provide the necessary food and medical supplies and dedicate all the efforts of the civil societies related to the humanitarian relief, in addition to the volunteers who are playing a great role. Egypt also, along with the coordination with international relief organizations such as UNRWA, that plays a very important role in the process of the relief, but hindered by the Israeli occupation, trying to get rid of its presence from the Gaza Strip, to use the starvation as a tool of political pressure upon the decision of the Strip presidents. Egypt plays and exerts a very significant role with the very effective international players, but up till this moment, Egypt is taking to the largest portion of humanitarian aid delivered to Gaza. More than 70% of the Egyptian aid either coming from the civil societies or from the donations of the Egyptian people.
So how does Egypt maintain pressure to allow the passage of essential goods and medical supplies?
Firstly, with this regard, Egypt is trying to have a sustainable delivery of quantity that would be as safe or a survival of the needs for the Strip residents. Egyptians' efforts aren't enough. That should be in parallel with the international efforts, particularly the United States, that has the strongest capability to change the Israelis' resolution to comply with the resolution of the international community and the UN Security Council to deliver the aids of enough quantity. If Egypt has managed to deliver great quantities, but there is a dire need for Israel to allow great quantities and different and diverse quantities of the aids, in addition to for the international agency to work in different sectors in order to guarantee to reach the local residents of the Gaza Strip and to stop the looting attempts either by the gangs or forces affiliated to the Israeli forces who they do not wish for such deliveries to reach the people in Gaza. In addition to the suspicious role played by the GHF that serve the interests of the occupation forces and do not give the priorities of delivering the aid, but transferred to killing and death trap for the Palestinians are awaiting or seeking the minimum of such aids.
So what message does Egypt aim to send internationally by continuing its large-scale aid convoys and airdrops in the face of a worsening famine in Gaza?
There are several messages Cairo is trying to highlight through delivering aid by emphasizing its role in supporting the Palestinian people and the relief of the Palestinians in Gaza in order to fulfill its commitments towards the Palestinian people. Secondly, Egypt reaffirms to the international community that delivering the assistance is a principle guarantees to face the war launched by Israel and affirm the collective work of delivering and not to submit the hindrances and obstacles laid down by the occupation forces. In addition, Egypt looks delivering the aids in a bid to assist the people of Gaza to resilience and facing the schemes of forced displacement that Israel wishes to do. Such an issue is a moral and legal commitment under the international community or the international laws in supporting the Palestinian people awaiting for a political horizon that would lead to the establishment of an independent Palestinian.
Well, from Cairo, that was Dr. Osama Saeed, editor-in-chief of Al Akhbar newspaper. Thank you so much for being with us here on Q News. Now we go back again to Mark in our studio. To you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Hella, there in our newsroom. And now we go to developments in the West Bank. The Palestinian Ministry of Islamic Endowments has reported Israeli police arrested 3 Al-Aqsa Mosque guards following a mass settler incursion into the holy site led by Israeli Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir. The Palestinian Prisoners' Media Office identified the detained guards as Mohammed Hina and Mohammed Badran and Ahmed Abu Aliyah. The arrest came after more than 1,000 Israelis stormed the compound, escalating tensions in occupied East Jerusalem. Saudi Arabia has strongly condemned Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's incursion into Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, calling it a repeated provocative practice that threatens regional stability. In a statement, the Saudi Foreign Ministry warned that such actions by Israeli officials fuel the conflict and violate international laws and norms. Riyadh urged the international community to intervene and halt Israeli violations at the holy site. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz has vowed to reinforce Israel's hold and sovereignty over Jerusalem, the Western Wall, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. His statement, posted on X, followed far-right Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's controversial visit to Al-Aqsa, where he prayed in violation of the long-standing "We will strengthen our hold over Jerusalem forever and ever," further inflaming tensions over the flashpoint holy site. Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, accompanied by followers, has stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque after leading a provocative settler march in Jerusalem's Old City. Marking the so-called temple destruction anniversary, Ben-Gvir declared intentions to build the temple and impose sovereignty, even threatening Gaza. This day is deemed one of the most dangerous for Al-Aqsa, with extremist groups planning the largest incursions, exploiting full government backing amid unprecedented incitement. His actions challenge religious and legal boundaries, escalating tensions sharply. Later, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz also stormed the Al-Aqsa Mosque under heavy guard from the Israeli occupation forces. More than 3,000 Israeli settlers have stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque in what the Islamic Witkoff department described as an unprecedented provocation. The mass incursion, led by far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and several Knesset members, was carried out under heavy police protection. Settlers performed Talmudic rituals, waved Israeli flags and carried Torah scrolls near one of the mosque's gates, while Israeli forces restricted Palestinian access to the Old City. The Palestinian presidency has strongly condemned Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir's storming of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, with spokesperson Nabil Abu Radaina calling it a move that crossed all red lines. He urged immediate international intervention, specifically from the US, to halt what he described as escalating Israeli provocations, settler violence, and the ongoing war on Gaza, while demanding the swift entry of humanitarian aid. The Palestinian Ministry of Witkoff and Religious Affairs has strongly condemned the storming of Al-Aqsa Mosque by far-right Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and several Knesset members, calling it a blatant provocation to Muslims worldwide. The ministry warned that Islamic holy sites face daily violations under the protection of Israel's far-right government, accusing it of working systematically to assert control over both Islamic and Christian sites. It urged international bodies to take immediate action to halt the ongoing desecration of Al-Aqsa Mosque. Hamas has condemned the storming of the far-right Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir and Knesset member to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, calling it an escalation of aggression and a provocation to Muslims worldwide. The group warned the move threatens regional and international peace, urging the UN and global community to hold Israel's government accountable and take urgent action to stop systematic violations against Al-Aqsa. Jordan has condemned in the strongest terms the storming of Al-Aqsa Mosque led by Israeli far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, calling it a flagrant violation of international law and the historic status quo of the holy site. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Sufyan al-Quda warned against the continuation of such provocative and illegitimate violations of Islamic and Christian holy sites in Jerusalem, demanding Israel halt all actions by Ben-Gvir and settler groups. Jordan, custodian of Al-Aqsa, said the repeated incursions reflect the extremist Israeli government's policy of dangerous escalation in the occupied territories. Israeli occupation forces have detained approximately 18,500 Palestinians from the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem since October 7, 2023, marking the highest number since the Second Intifada. Among those detained are 570 women, 1,500 children, and 194 journalists, with 49 still in custody. The report, compiled by the Commission of Detainees, Palestinian Prisoner Society, documents widespread violations, including torture, home raids, property destruction, and extrajudicial executions. At least 75 detainees have died in Israeli custody, 46 of them from Gaza, raising grave concerns over detention conditions and accountability. Gaza's health ministry has reported 119 bodies and 866 wounded. Palestinians have arrived at hospitals in the past 24 hours, including 65 people killed while trying to access aid. The overall death toll from Israeli attacks since October 7, 2023 has risen to 60,839, with 149,588 wounded. Since Israel violated the ceasefire on March 18th, at least 9,350 have been killed and 37,547 injured. An additional 290 deaths were added to the tally following a judicial committee's verification of missing persons reports, highlighting the scale of the ongoing humanitarian catastrophe. Gaza's government media office has said more than 22,000 humanitarian aid trucks are being blocked by Israel at border crossings, accusing it of enforcing a systematic policy of starvation, siege, and chaos. Most trucks belong to the UN and international aid groups, the office said in a statement, calling the obstruction a full-fledged war crime and a violation of international law. It warned the blockade is worsening the humanitarian catastrophe and contributing to what it calls genocide in Gaza. Officials demanded the immediate unconditional entry of all aid trucks and the full reopening of crossings before it's too late. Athens Mayor Haris Doukas has publicly rebuked Israeli Ambassador Norm Katz after the envoy criticized the city for not removing anti-Semitic graffiti. In a social media post, Doukas said it was appalling that the ambassador focused on graffiti amid what he called an unprecedented genocide in Gaza. Doukas emphasized Athens' commitment to democracy, free expression, and opposition to violence. Thousands of Palestinians held mass rallies and demonstrations across the occupied West Bank to mark the National and Global Day of Solidarity with Gaza and the Palestinian prisoners. Events were also organized in the diaspora, calling for an end to genocide, forced starvation and displacement policies imposed by Israel. Protesters carried Palestinian flags and banners demanding international action to halt the Israeli assault on Gaza and secure the release of more than 10,800 prisoners, Palestinians, imprisoned by Israel, including 49 women, over 450 children and 3,629 held under administrative detention without trial or charge. Now, at least 22 Palestinians were killed while seeking aid in separate Israeli attacks across the Gaza Strip. Medical sources said 4 people were killed and several wounded near an aid distribution center in the Netzarim axis in central Gaza, while 9 others died in Israeli fire near aid centers north of Rafah in the south. U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, has told families of detainees held by Hamas that Washington is working with the Israeli government on a plan that would effectively end the war in Gaza. Witkoff said the plan, developed with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, includes reconstruction of Gaza and could bring the conflict to a close. He also claimed Hamas was prepared to disarm, though the group has repeatedly rejected laying down its weapons. And to Lebanon, where they are commemorating the Beirut port explosion today. Lebanon's Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam, has emphasized that holding those responsible accountable is a unifying national cause. Salam stressed that justice is essential for the rule of law, rejecting any settlement that compromises accountability or truth. He affirmed that no one is above the law and highlighted the importance of enforcing it. He expressed hope for free, independent Lebanon capable of ending Israeli occupation, underscoring that decisions on war, peace and disarmament rest solely with the Lebanese state. An Israeli drone was spotted flying at high altitude over several towns in Lebanon's Nabatea governorate, raising concerns among local residents and heightening tensions. Another drone was seen flying at a low altitude over the Saluki Valley and surrounding areas, further fueling fears of renewed hostilities. The Israeli Occupation Army announced that it carried out a ground operation inside southern Syrian territory, during which it seized weapons and interrogated several individuals it claimed were suspects involved in arms smuggling in the area. According to a statement by the occupation forces, the operation was based on prior intelligence, surveillance, and in-depth field investigation. The statement added that Israeli troops remain deployed at the site and continue their activities to prevent any terrorist elements from establishing a presence on the Syrian side of the border. Syrian media reported that armed groups launched an attack on internal security forces in the southern province of Suwaida, resulting in the death of one security officer and injuries to others. The reports indicated that these groups violated the ceasefire agreement reached last month, following fierce clashes between local factions, which left hundreds dead. And just before we go, let's recap the main headlines this evening. Egypt's National Alliance sends 11th relief convoy to Gaza with 200 trucks carrying 400 tons of aid. Israeli police arrest 3 Al-Aqsa guards after Ben-Gvir leads a mass settler incursion. And the Gaza death toll reaches 60,839 and 119 bodies arrive at hospital. And that's all for our bulletin this evening. Don't forget you can follow Q News on our social media platforms at Q News EGY to stay informed. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Q News. Have a good evening.